So just before I start, could I have a hands up, anybody who knows about Make-A-Wish so far? Yes, okay, much faster so. Okay, so just to let you know a couple of things about Make-A-Wish, we have volunteers nationwide that go into the family home and capture the wish. We are not government funded, we rely solely on donations, and we've signed up to the Triple Lock Code of Governance. We are a member of a worldwide family. You heard Rachel's family talk earlier. So the benefit of this is when we have a family like Rachel's going abroad, they look after our family, they book everything for us, and we in turn, when we have people coming from around the world, we do the same for them. So we have that backup network. See, I told you I can talk fast. Our mission is to grant wishes to children aged 3 to 17 living with a life-threatening illness, and our vision is to make sure that every eligible child living in this country receives a wish. This year we've set about doing collaborations. I'm sure some of you are here. I'm sorry I don't know your faces, I only know your names, with the HSE Palliative Care around the country, Canteen, Muscular Dystrophy Ireland. We need you to help us, and we're asking you to refer children to us so that we can grant wishes. Okay, so here are some of the frequently asked questions we're always asked by the medical teams. Who can have a wish is any child living with a life-threatening illness between 3 and 17, and who can apply? You can apply on behalf of a family, however, a parent must sign the form. Okay? Why nominate a child? This is TJ in hospital and this is TJ with the chipmunks. To be honest, I think it's a common thread. It lets the child become the hero. We are very conscious that siblings sometimes resent the child. That's a very harsh statement, but they can't go to soccer practice, they can't go to parties, they can't go to places at the weekend. So we include the whole family on the wish. Now sometimes if it's a princess wish, the 15-year-old brother doesn't want to go, and we get that too, okay? But it's really important to let that child become the hero and also to give the families a break. So this is what I'm asking you to do, to discuss Make-A-Wish with children that you think are potentially eligible for a wish, and alleviate the fear that we are a terminally ill charity. We grant wishes to children living with a life-threatening medical condition. We have children come back to us in their 20s telling us about their experiences, and nominate a child during treatment if possible. Okay, it does build up the excitement for them, it gives them something to look forward to. We know you're inundated with forms. We usually send you two. One is yellow, so that when it's buried on your desk, you can find it. It's a very simple yes or no answer. If it's a no, that's good news. That is good news for the families, and we will tell the families. Sometimes they ask us to try another doctor. We don't do that. If you've said no, we take that on board. The other one is a green form, that when our volunteers go out and find out what the wish is, we send it to the medical team to find out, can the child go on that wish, and it gives us some supplementary travel information that we need. If they can't have the wish at that time for whatever medical reason, that's fine. We will hold on, we'll explain to the parents. It doesn't mean they won't get a wish, it just means that it's on hold for a certain amount of time. Travel wishes. Families tell us that a lot of the medical teams say, oh, you know, you're doing so well, you deserve a trip. We're asking you, although we do travel wishes and we do Disneyland an awful lot, we're up against a multimedia marketing machine, we do take the fear of travelling abroad away. A lot of our families have never been away before. We provide all the medical needs that they need, the nebulizers, the electric power chairs. Our lingus special assistants know us very well. We also provide a contribution for the families. We pay for everything, flights, accommodation, transfers, a contribution towards spending money, the all-important travel insurance. Please be assured we never send a family anywhere. If they do not have travel insurance, we do provide it, okay? And we don't send them without it. And again, we have the Make-A-Wish offices worldwide, and they have the same policies and procedures as we do, so we know that we can entrust these children and families into their care, even dude ranches in Arizona. Prognosis, rush wishes we do get, obviously, from people like yourselves with a prognosis of less than 9 months. This is what we're here for too. We will do our very best to grant that wish. We did have a child who was supposed to be going to Disney Paris, got a phone call from the consultant to say, I'm sorry, he cannot go. We changed it and the child did something else instead. Sometimes we do have to create memories for families that, you know, the child is sadly going to pass away quite quickly after the wish. And as I said, sometimes the child goes on to be 30s, 40s and comes back and talks to us. We're trying to get away from families thinking we are a travel agent. I agree. So it's great. We can send our families to Disney. They don't wait in line, very American. They don't queue for anything. They go straight to the top of the line all the time. But sometimes that's something that the family could actually do themselves at a later time. So the next image is every now and then, the wishes fall into 4 categories. Usually if you ask a child something, a little girl wants to be a ballerina, a little boy a Garda. I'm being very gendered now, but anyway. So, or a little girl wants to be a princess. It's not just to be a princess. You have to pick, sorry guys, the daytime dress, the nighttime dress, the daytime tiara, the nighttime tiara. Are they allowed hair and makeup? Do they have hair? These are the things that our volunteers find out. You have to have the shoes, you have to have the 4-poster bed, Dad has to be Prince Charming, there has to be bedtime stories, there's rose petals, there's the cushion with the nighttime tiara on it, the waiting staff all bow. Sometimes the home wishes, are more magical than the travel wishes. Now, I'm not saying meeting Bieber or Beyonce is less magical, you know, it depends on the age group, okay? But this little boy wanted to meet Roy Keane. I know I've probably divided the audience in 2 now. You could not have just, I can't, of all the wishes I've ever experienced, this was amazing. Tomas is there and he has a tiny little soccer notebook in his hand and he wrote all his questions in a circle. And he sat down one-on-one with Roy. And Roy eventually said to him, are you recording this? Because I'm in serious trouble here. Who was your favourite manager? Who's your least favourite manager? Who's the best player you've ever played with? And there weren't like singular answers. Roy explained the difference between being a cocky player and a confident player. And I'm breaking a trust here. The little fella said, what about Ronaldo? And he said, some players can be cocky and confident because they are that good. And the little fella knew loads, and I have to say it was probably the best hour I've ever spent, and Roy never took his eyes off him, and the little guy gave him a Schlither and a Hurley because he was from Cork, and the two of them had the best time. But it wasn't just meeting Roy. We brought them up to Dublin. SSE Electricity, who sponsors the FAI League, also helped us. And he got the new kit, he got the new gear. Roy invited him to the next World Cup qualifier match. And so, you know, but just to explain that sometimes I get travel, I know families. We've had families who've never even been to the airport. We've had to tell them how to get there. But you can't beat a one-on-one with somebody like that. And we always manage a child's expectations and say, you know, sometimes if you're meeting Beyonce before a concert, she might only have 10 or 15 minutes with you. And sometimes if you're going abroad, it might rain the whole time. So you have to take it in mind. Okay, so you'll see there are wishes to go are 149 wishes. The wishes to be are the princesses, the guards. Wishes to have are PS4s, the latest iPhone, I don't know what we're at now, 10, maybe, I give up, I don't know. And the wishes to meet are very popular, and they are usually things that we can probably do that a parent couldn't do. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to the heart of the child's wish and grant that wish. And now, see how fast I am? Will this? Okay. Shall I go for this and see, does it? This is a very simple wish. It's a home wish. He wanted to meet the US ambassador. It sounds simple, but you'll see the amount of people that got involved.
Morgan is a 14-year-old boy. He was born perfectly healthy and he didn't reach his milestones. By 10 months he wasn't sitting up and I brought him to the hospital. They did tests, took blood, and the genetic analysis came back that Morgan had a disease called spinal muscular atrophy. A day in the life of Morgan really depends on whether he's had a good night or a bad night. When he wakes up, do nebs, do physio, then he'll go on a feed. He's tube fed through his stomach, a peg, because he can no longer swallow. We'll go for a walk at some stage, weather depending and health depending for Morgan. It takes quite a while to get Morgan organised because he can't do anything for himself. He might have a week of reasonable health, but then there's always an infection or something pops up. So between respiratory problems and epilepsy. Morgan has been resuscitated, I'd say at least 20 times now. He's been in ICU twice. Life is pretty miserable. His paediatric consultant wanted to do something for him. I suggested that Morgan loves American things, so we thought, just have a trip to the embassy. The Secret Service came up to the ward and they had their earpieces and they're speaking into their cuffs and all that kind of business, and we had motorbike outriders, and then there was a squad car, then the Make-A-Wish vehicle, then the Secret Service had their huge big black armour-plated proper SUV whizzing through the city. He was totally excited with the guards going by and stopping the traffic and the speed they were going, and then when we got there, the house was fabulous. We went up the driveway and pulled into kind of the circular area, and there was 3 immaculately dressed Marines. So when we got out and we were going up the ramp, they were all saluting Morgan, and the ambassador opened the door and said, "Welcome to the United States of America." And at that point Morgan went, "Oh, are we still in Ireland?" He was so excited. The ambassador, he was extremely relaxed, extremely pleasant. He had heard that Morgan had a particular grow for JFK, and a couple of hours into the afternoon he presented Morgan with a picture of JFK getting off his own helicopter in the Phoenix Park. And we spent a few hours there, walked around the gardens, saw all the memorials, got photos with the Lincoln Memorial and the Kennedy Memorial and their 9/11 Memorial. Everyone was very relaxed, very kind, very accommodating. It was just a really lovely afternoon in an extremely special house with a special little boy and the ambassador and good people.
That's a simple wish, but you can see the impact it had. My most fun on that was driving down the wrong side of the road, following a car. So what I'd ask you is, even though I'm a wish granter, every time you refer a child or you sign a form for a child, you too are a wish granter. So thank you for that. And the other thing I would ask you is, if you haven't referred a child, I would challenge you by this time next year to have referred 10. Thank you.